one of the main reasons that we don't detach from people is so one of the most common things that I've been seeing with all the social media stuff and all the questions and conversations that I've had with people is that people are struggling to detach from other people. Like, I know we have all these avoidant attachments or different attachment styles, and it's difficult to be able to mix and match with certain people and find what's going to flow and work for everyone. But one thing that a lot of people have become attached to, one thing that's become really difficult, is detaching from people. And I can speak from personal experience. I know that's a difficult thing to do, right? You do this for a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons that we don't detach from people is because we think that if we do more of something, that they're going to finally value us. And we create this image of this person in our brain that we think that this is who this person is. And we think that if I'm able to push in or do more or connect more, that they're going to eventually sit here and say, okay, yes, you're right, you are the one. And it's a twofold thing. One, because one is that thought, that disillusion of what could be, the thought of me being able to finally make this thing that I sold my brain and my body into, that I convinced myself would work. And the other thing is pride. Believe it or not, the pride of us thinking that we could do this, that this person should see the value in us, that they should know that we're this good, that they should want to date us, that they should want to be in our lives, that they should want to hire us. We think our pride gets in the way of our reality. We think that we have to make this happen because we committed to this happening. Now, I want to be clear. You should commit to things, right? You should push and you should try, you should make the effort. But at the end of the day, certain things are going to show you what they want. They're going to show you where you stand. They're going to show you what's worth it and what's not worth it. And your pride gets in the way of you actually doing what's going to be best for you, because you still think that you need to win. The truth is that you're going to win by walking away. You're going to win by not being involved in this thing. You're going to win by making it clear that you're worth so much more. But unfortunately, for some of us, we let that become a factor. We think that I need to now press harder so that they can finally see what I'm worth. And in our pride, we think that that's the only way we're going to win. So twofold for that first one. It's just disillusion, right? That you think that you're going to convince them. You think that they just need to see more of what they already don't value. You think that if you do more of this, that you show up more, that you act more, that they're going to eventually value you. Or you think that your pride, you think that I need to win, that I've already made this commitment, that I've already done all these things, and they need to finally see what I'm worth. The truth is that all you're doing is hurting yourself. The reason we can't detach is because we continue to go back to a place that we're supposed to heal from. You're supposed to walk away from those things. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that you're going to just walk away and everything is going to be perfectly fine and you're going to be perfectly healed and perfectly happy. But I am saying that it's harder to heal from a wound that you keep opening. It's harder to let this thing get air and be what it needs to be if you keep resurfacing back to a place that you no longer need to be in. And this happens even when we grow out of relationships. When we're trying to heal from a relationship, our detachment to it is still back in that place. So what happens is that I don't allow myself in something that's good because of the memory of something that was bad. Our nervous system is not triggered, it's adaptive, right? So it's learned certain things that you did before, and it thinks, okay, well, this is where I need to be, and if this person feels too good or they make me feel calm or at peace, then I remember something from a person that I wanted that from. So you run away from it and you end up making it so much harder for yourself. The truth is that for a lot of us, we consistently stay in places that we were meant to move from. You will never heal from a place that you've made home in. And if you think that this is all you are and all you will ever be, you're never going to detach from that person. Now, I know this is a little bit difficult and a little bit different because there's so many different factors and so many scenarios, but at the core of all of this, we don't detach from people because of that thought, of that reality that we think that we are going to be able to create something. Another reason we don't detach is because we think that we can keep a relationship with this person. And this one's going to hurt to hear. You can't keep a relationship with the person that you need to heal from. You can't go back to a place that hurt you and say, oh no, well, yeah, we were dating, but now we could be friends. You cannot be friends with that person. And I know people will say different things or whatever. It's never going to work. Why? Because there's always a fragment of that relationship there. There's always a thought. In Spanish, there's a saying, donde hubo fuego, cenizas quedan. Where there was a fire, there's still ashes. And you think that by being around that, you're not going to rekindle something, or even that they don't have to rekindle it. Your thought process, your mind, which you have convinced your brain, the neuroplasticity that you've created about this person, it's going to kick in because it's going to say, wait, no, we're still around. And if we're still around, that means that there's hope. But if you continue to be attached to this relationship in any kind of way, whether romantic, platonic, or whatever, you're never going to get over it because it's impossible to heal in that environment. Am I saying be a jerk and don't be nice to them? No, I'm not saying that. Be cordial, be good. But you can't sit here and say, oh, I'm going to hang out with this person even though they didn't give me what I desired or what I wanted, and then think that you're going to be able to heal in that process. It's not going to happen. It's impossible, because you're not letting yourself have the space for that to heal. You have to remind yourself of who they are every time they come around. You have to remind yourself of what they did, and you remind yourself that you had to beg, and you remind yourself that you had to plead, and all the things that you had to do to be extra to them that you didn't have to do, that you didn't deserve. But if you continue to stay there, you'll continue to stay where you are. And it's impossible to detach from something that you've just made home in. Number 3, you have to become obsessed with you. And this is a hard one for a lot of us. It's a hard one for me, right? I'm trying to do better in my life. I'm trying to get into new habits and new practices and new things. And it does take a moment of creating a process and of practice and of living and all these things. But the reality is that if you don't love you, you'll continue to run to people that you think would have love for you. You'll continue to run to the person that made you feel some type of way because they had some type of control over you. And it's not an ego thing, right? It's not that you sit here and live in vanity or live in this like over pride about yourself, but you are proud about you. So there's a difference between being prideful and being proud. Pride is the root of all evil, right? Having pride is the sense that you are better than everyone else, that you have all this stuff, that you are the greatest thing to ever happen. Being proud of yourself is knowing that you're worth love. It's knowing that you're worth caring for. It's knowing that you're worth all the things that you're willing to offer. That's being proud of you. You need to learn to be proud of you, so much so that you stop going back to people that make you feel like you're garbage. That you stop going to people that don't value you, that don't make you feel wanted, that you have to beg to be in their presence. Listen to me, no matter how good that person might be, no matter how much you've convinced yourself that this person is good, no matter how much you've sold yourself the story, no matter how much people around you have said that they're great, no matter how much your family, your parents, or well, no matter how many times you have convinced them of that, they might be amazing people for everyone else, but they're bad to you. They've made you go through these things. They dragged you. They made you feel like you had to beg or plead. Yes, they might be good in general. They're not good for you. And when you become proud of you, you stop allowing people that treat you poorly to be around you. You stop letting people that don't love you make you diminish the way you love. You stop being attached to people that make you feel like you don't value anything. We struggle with detachment because we continue to think that what we were offered is what we deserve. We continue to think that the bare minimum was the right amount because, again, you might have had the greatest ideas. You might have had the greatest reason. You might have had the greatest desire. But it doesn't mean that you settle for what you're offered simply because it's on the table. Some people will never know what your value is. And until you start realizing that, until you start creating this in you, until you start being real with you, you'll continue to sell yourself short. You'll continue to settle for breadcrumbs just because you think that's the only way you're going to get to the table. Unfortunately, we don't detach from people because we continue to think that the bare minimum is enough. We continue to think that how they're treating us is enough. And you'll continue to go back to that place because it's the wound you know. Just because you've spent time making a mistake doesn't mean you continue. Just because you know the level of hurt that's there doesn't mean that's the level of hurt you deserve to receive. Just because you've been hurt so many times doesn't mean that you've become strong and strong enough to be resilient of it. You don't need to continue to go back to a place that's not giving you the same effort. We continue to sit here and go back to people. We don't detach because we don't root ourselves in our own happiness. Like, think about it. For a lot of us, we desire something so bad that we become these givers, and we give and give and give. And we think that, yes, maybe your love language is acts of service, and maybe it is giving. That is something that you're good at, and that's how you love. But it doesn't mean that you give to the point where you're hurt. You give to a point where you're not loved back. So at the core, those two things, is it your pride? Is it the reason you can't let go is because you think that, man, I don't want to fail. I didn't fail. I gave everything and I need to win this? Or is it that delusion that you think that one day they're going to finally wake up and realize who you are and what you're worth, that they're going to know that you are worth all this and they're going to make every bit of effort to be there? The truth is that either or, whether it's your pride or your delusion, you don't deserve to be treated the way you are. You don't deserve to sit here and beg a person for something. And we're gonna continue to repeat these cycles. We're gonna continue to live in this rut because we think that one day they'll wake up. I think you need to wake up. I think you need to sit here and realize what you're actually worth. And And when you live in that firmness of your worth, when you live in that truth of your self-love, of who you actually are, you don't let people sell you for less. You don't let them treat you less. You let them miss out. So if you're looking to detach yourself, if you're looking to detach from something, if you're looking to detach from a person, you need to first identify, is it my delusion or is it my pride? And then start working backwards. Why is it that I'm so stuck on this? Because sometimes it is an emotional trauma that we have. It's an emotional, we've trauma bonded to a person because we've connected to things that they have gone through or things that we've gone through together, and we think that is the only way I'm going to receive love. You've interpreted the form of love that you have as a trauma love. But we need to work backwards. You need to come away from that falsehood that this is what you deserve and allow yourself to be loved the way you deserve to be loved. Because for a lot of people, you're going to sit there and be a stepping stool. They're going to get comfortable with having you around because you're always around. They'll know that no matter what they say or do to you, you're not going anywhere. So at some point, you need to decide, am I okay with just being here attached to someone that doesn't love me? Or do I deserve real love and full love? And spoiler alert, you deserve the fullness. You don't deserve partiality. You deserve all of it. You need to, at some point, step into this. Because when you do, that's when you make yourself available. You make yourself available to real love. You make yourself available to the people that want to love you. You make yourself available to the love that you're missing out on because you're so attached to something that isn't serving you. You make yourself available to yourself. And that's how you grow. So when you detach, find out why and work backwards.